Hello everyone. So today we will look at the concept of imperative uh, Z's imperative sentences in German. So imperative sentences are the sentences which expresses to give a command. You give a command to somebody, do that, do this, or you want to make a request. You want to do a command, you want to make a request, or you want to give advice, right? So these kind of sentences you can make or say to give a command to somebody. For example, you want them to do something for you, or you want to make a request to somebody that, oh, can you do something for me, or you want to give an advice to somebody, right? So in English there are these sentences with exclamation marks, right? So for example, we have sentences like, like, do not go, and then it ends like this, right? Do not go, don't go there. You're giving a command, right? And for example, please help, right? You're making a request, these kind of sentences. And then you give an advice, so you shall not do it, you know so this kind of sentences. So in German we can also make these sentences, and these are called imperative sentences in German, and we will see how you can make it. But before that, let me give you a trick that, what how you can learn them, what are the different cases of imperative sentences. So if you know, the personal pronoun in Germans are ich, du, er, Z, S, they are in same category. Then we have wir, then you have ihr, and then you have Z, 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 and then capital Z. And this is like a formal do kind of thing, right? Here you say you to in an informal way, and then Z is the formal way, right? So now if you give a command to somebody, then you're talking to that person, right? You're addressing that person in front of you, right? So either you will say to somebody who's in front of you as do in an informal way, or you will say, like, you have more than one people, like two three people in front of you, or like you have kids in front of you, and then you want to say, oh, don't do that and stuff. So then you will either use ear, right? This is the plural form of do. And then you will say to somebody in a formal way, right? So in the Z form, this. So the imperative sentences are made for these personal pronoun where the conjugation is most of the time needed. For others you don't need it, right? You don't give a command to yourself, right? Ish gie hai, I go. You don't tell yourself like go there, right? Or you don't talk in a third person, right? That as he should go, she should go, it should go, or it should move, something like this. Or like they should go or something, right? And then when you talk to in a group, like we should go, like that's like a normal sentence. You're not giving a command, right, to somebody else. So in most of the cases, then you will have the imperative conjugations for do, ear, and z. So let's see that with an example, right? So in the first case you have the informal do, right, in the singular case. So if you tell somebody to do something for you, you will say do marks thus, right? You are saying do that, you do that, right? When you make an imperative sentence, so what you will do, first of all, you will drop the personal pronoun, you will not use it, right? So this disappears. And then you will also remove the conjugations which is used for do. So and then st also goes away. So whatever left of this normal sentence makes the imperative sentence, so that will be marked thus. So this is like an order, you're giving an order to somebody, and then you say mark thus. And this somebody is in front of you, in a normal way you will say do, do mark thus, you do that. But now you give an order, mark thus, right? Let's take another example. Du liest ein Buch. You are reading a book. You are telling somebody that, oh, you are reading a book. Du liest ein Buch. So in the same way, we will drop the personal pronoun. Do will go away, and then we will drop the conjugation related to do, right? so which is the st, right? So, or like here it will be t only drop, and then or whatever is left is becoming the imperative sentence. For example, lease ein book, read a book, right? You're ordering somebody, you know, lease ein book. So this is how you make it for those sentences. You order how to order somebody to do something, right? So this is a way of making imperative for the do. Now you can have more than one person in front of you, so that will be the plural form, and that will be informal but in a plural way, right? So you use ear, right? This conjugation. So you can do the same sentence, ear mark thus, you do that. So here you're talking to more than one person, and you say ear mark thus. So what will happen here again? Also, you will drop the personal pronoun ear, and then nothing else. You just write the full sentence as it is. So you say marked thus. That is the imperative form. Marked thus. If you talk to more than one person, you will say marked thus. Right? Now let's look at another sentence. So ear gate knock house. He is going. They are going to. You know. So ear is you go to the house, right? So ear is for more than one person. We say ear you go to the house, right? So we will drop the personal pronoun here, and then everything else remains the same. So it will be gate knock house. You go to home, right? So this will be the imperative sentence. So uh, till now, for do and ear, when you give a command, you make an imperative sentence or make a request, then you will drop the personal pronoun when you make it imperative, and then for do you drop the conjugation, but ear you keep the conjugation, right? So for do you have mark thus, but for ear marked thus, right, with a t at the end. Now you can have in the formal form, which is the z form of do, right? So in a formal way, so you request somebody in a substance because you're talking in a formal way. So you say z markandas, you do it, but here you is z, so you have z markandas. Now to make the sentence, you just flip it, right? So you will have markan z thus, you're ordering, so you say markan z thus. So you just flip the verb and the subject. For example, if we can look at Z common bitte rein, you come inside, right? So you will just flip it, common Z bitte rein. So that becomes imperative for Z form, right? So this is the imperative form. That's how you make a sentence. So you can give a command, you can make a request, you can give a advice, and then you can make sentences for the people you are talking to, which will be in do form, and then ear form, and then z form, which is a formal way, right? And then for these three you have different rules. For example, for do you will drop the personal pronoun in do and ear case, but you will drop the conjugation in do only, but not in ear. You keep the conjugation, right? So it will be mark thus in do, marked thus in ear, and then markan z thus. Nothing happens, you just flip the position of subject and the verb, right? And then you keep everything else the same, right? And then obviously at the end there will be exclamation mark. So this is usually you will find in the novels or books you are reading, there is a conversation going on, or you just use in real life. It's very rare you will find this in the textbook, but it's very fun to use, very fun to talk with somebody else when you want somebody to do something for you. And these are three ways you can do the imperative. So if you have any doubt, you can write in the comment if something is not clear for you, and then we can do a practice example in another video. And if you have any suggestion, you can tell me. I can discuss more about that in other videos or any other concept. Till then, bye.